Welcome to week 9 of the ketogenic diet review. This week I lost 4.5 pounds, so that's up from last week and the week before when I was at about 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. One thing I did different this week is I wanted to challenge the how many grams of protein I was eating. I did that in the past, but I went higher with it. I dropped when I was first doing this diet. I was at about 220 grams of protein. I was on the sort of, I guess you call it like bodybuilder um, protein regimen, and then I dropped down to 120, 140 for this diet, which was good macro wise. That was fine. I tried to push it like a couple weeks ago. I tried to go higher. That kept stalling my ketosis. This week I pushed it lower to about 80 grams, and I've seen more weight loss. I don't believe that I'm sacrificing muscle mass. I mean, that would be the biggest concern that anybody could pose for dropping protein was if you're not eating an adequate enough protein and you're in a caloric deficit, you could potentially start to metabolize your own muscle. And that's not happening. I could tell it's not happening. Um, so I don't think that's a big concern. Also, if you stay active, like I'm limited for what I can do, your body generally won't start to metabolize muscle unless it's not being used. It's very rare. Like people think that that happens a lot more commonly than it does, and it doesn't. The only time you see people losing muscle mass is when they're on extreme diets and they're over exercising and a lot of different things are happening. But I mean, for me, I don't worry about that. I've had good results, and I feel like I've gone deeper into ketosis as well. So maybe something to try out. I want to talk a little bit about because of that. I want to talk a little bit about pitfalls for the ketogenic diet. I've noticed this diet is becoming a little more popular, and by no means is that me and my few people who listen to my podcast. But um, my wife asked me the other day. She started asking me about the ketogenic diet, and it's very funny because I've been on this diet for 9 weeks, and she's interested in the fact that I'm losing weight. She thinks that's fun, and she asked me questions here and there, but she's not really interested in the diet. I mean, you got to understand, my wife is Latina, and Latinas love bread. And that's not a racist statement. If you think that's racist, you've never met any Latinas because they fucking love bread, man. That's a fact. So she started asking me about it, and I was like, okay, this is weird. Finally asked her, I was like, why are you so interested? And it turned out, her husband doing it for 9 weeks, it didn't matter. But Dr. Oz did a little 5-minute special or whatever, however long it was, on the ketogenic diet, and all of a sudden she's interested in it. So I love her, but she became interested in it, and I've started to get more and more people are asking me about it, and I don't turn people away. I've only been doing this for 9 weeks, so I don't have a lot of answers. Like I've said in the past, I just try to ask the right questions. I try not to have too many answers in life, but I try to help people where I can. My brother-in-law was one of those people he's going to start doing the ketogenic diet. I think he thinks it's interesting what he sees happening with me, and he's excited about that, and so he's going to start doing it. And one thing that he mentioned to me is he's cut out all carbs, and I asked him, "What do you mean all your carbs?" He's like, "Oh, your breads, your pastas, your rice, all that stuff." And I'm just eating a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruit. And see, this is like a little bit of I think misinformation for some people. They feel like carbs are only in bread or pasta or things like that, and carbs are in everything, man. Like there's a lot of veggies that I don't eat because they're too high in carbohydrates. I don't really eat any fruit because they're too high in sugar. And I'm from the South originally. I'm from Florida. I love oranges, man. Like I love oranges almost as much as I love my children, and I can't eat oranges because they're too high in sugar. So that's something to think about. I think anybody who's thinking about doing this diet, there's hidden carbs and hidden sugars, and that's what I really wanted to mention in this when I want to talk about the pitfalls of the ketogenic diet. I think if you can get past the keto flu, which could be like the first 2 weeks, then you'll be good. You'll learn naturally what to eat and what not to eat. And I think a lot of people when they first start, they think they're in ketosis, and I was probably one of those people. You're not really in ketosis. You're knocking yourself out left and right because you're eating things with hidden carbs or hidden sugars. Um, but I mean, 9 weeks in, my ketones are pretty set. So I'm happy with that. But I've learned a few of these things, and the first pitfall, there's a couple, but there's maybe like 5 or 6 main ones. The first pitfall that I've noticed is people don't eat enough fat. Like people start a ketogenic diet, but then they don't really want to eat high levels of fat. We got to break, much like how I've lowered my protein to 80 grams, breaking that old kind of like Arnold way, bodybuilding way of thinking 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So that for me, that's 220 grams of protein. You can't do that on a ketogenic diet. It's not possible. So you got to break that. You got to think, what are you really trying to accomplish here? Do you want to follow some old tried way of doing it that hasn't worked for you in the past, or do you want to really try to get into ketosis? So I think the first thing is like, much like how people think bacon. I mean, you're on a diet that is glorified as bacon, really, bacon and butter. I mean, everyone calls this the bacon and butter diet. People are like, oh, you're bacon and butter diet, you're losing all this weight, and it's not. It's so much more than that. I still eat a lot of butter, but I don't really even eat bacon that much anymore. But I mentioned that just to say, going into this, you're going into a diet that's glorified as the bacon and butter diet. Two foods that are traditionally viewed as being unhealthy, and they'll make you fat, and they'll make you slobbish, and they'll make you weak, and they do all the opposite, and they give you a big, beautiful red beard. So eat your fat, man. It's good for you. So, but in all seriousness, that's probably the first thing. Is people aren't eating enough fat. I don't know if it'll actually give you a big, beautiful red beard, but it may. I can't say it won't. I see people on Instagram and stuff with their macros they post, and I don't say anything. I don't want to be a troll or be seen as like a internet, warrior or whatever. But I see people when they post their macros, 40, 50% fats is too low. Like for me, my macros are at 80 for fat, and that's because I've lowered my protein. You think about it, when you're fat, macros, by the way, I'm sure everybody knows, but that's like percentage. Think about it as percentage. So if your macros are 80% fat, that means 80% of your daily calories for that day came from fat. But if your macros are at, like, say, 40 or 50% fats, that means another 50% came from a combination of carbs and protein, and that's too high. Your body will choose to metabolize those instead and convert them to glucose and burn that instead of burning the fat, which it'll convert to ketones. Your liver will just be like, I'm taking a break. Let the fucking body burn the sugar and shit. You got to make your body work for it, man. Your body's lazy. If it has a choice between burning sugar or burning ketones, it's going to burn the sugar, because guess what? It's right fucking there. You can just throw it in the oven and start burning, and you got energy. It's a dirty energy. No disrespect, but it's a dirty energy. That's why you crash and burn. That's why you get like, it's because it's not a clean energy. But your body's got to work to burn ketones. It's got to convert it, man. Your liver's got to put on its hard hat and go to work. So it's fucking lazy. It doesn't want to do that. If you give it the choice, it's going to sit at home and watch TV. You got to make it get up and go to work, and you can only do that by limiting your glucose. So really push your fats up high, man. Push them to like as close to 80 as you can get. I fluctuate between 78 to 80, but that'll help tremendously. And like I said, and I'm a big fucking guy. Like, I'm not trying to brag. I mean, I'm fat too, but I got a lot of muscle, man. If I'm not losing muscle, a normal person's not going to lose muscle. I got a lot more muscle to lose, but I'm not losing muscle. I'm losing fat, which is what you want. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to push that fat high. Another thing is, people kind of on the same thing. You're eating too much carbs and protein, and some of that, and that's kind of the third thing, is hidden carbs and hidden sugars. That's in your fruits and vegetables. That's why I only eat cauliflower rice, which I've said many times, saved my life, man. I went from eating white rice to brown rice and quinoa, and then when I started this diet, I went from quinoa to cauliflower rice, and you got to get a little bit used to it, and then it tastes awesome. So that's a big thing, but you got to pay attention to your fruits. I would pretty much eliminate all fruits personally, but if you want to eat some berries, just check them. Check their sugar content and make sure they don't have carbs. Same thing with your vegetables. I saute spinach. I've been getting really into that. I love spinach. I even eat canned spinach. My wife thinks it's disgusting, but I love it because I grew up poor, and that's what we grew up eating, was canned spinach. But sometimes I'll get the fresh, fancy spinach, and I'll saute that too, and it's good. I just prefer my canned spinach. But just pay attention. Pay attention. Download an app, man. Like, we live in a digital world where, as much shit as I talk about the digital world, it can help so much with this. I use MyFitnessPal, but there's probably other ones. That's just the one that I know of. Anything that you can put in what you ate, preferably if you can actually scan the fucking barcode. that would be awesome, because then like MyFitnessPal actually gives you different things. It'll show you your total menu basically. It'll show you all the different stuff you ate, like how much protein, how much this, how much that, and then it'll actually show you your macros wheel. So you can also preset it to be like, oh, my goal is 80% fat, and it'll let you preset it. So it'll tell you like how much you're off if you're going over. So just really pay attention to that. That's the biggest thing. And then so it's really two real things. Is one, you're not hitting your macros, whether you're afraid to eat too much fat, or you're just kind of intentionally eating too much protein and carbs, or you're consuming hidden, you're not hitting your macros. That's the point of all that. And then the second real big thing, I guess you could say, is that people just have this belief, and I've heard it many times, on the ketogenic diet, you can eat whatever you want. And that sounds like a magic fairy tale pill that they sell you, where you take this pill and you can eat cake and ice cream and be buff. And it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? There's no such thing as eat whatever you want. This is kind of one of those things where I'm saying, like, when people, with the whole Dr. Oz special showing the ketogenic diet, more and more people are going to get into the ketogenic diet. More and more people are going to perpetuate kind of rumors like this, because somebody probably said, I eat whatever I want. And I do eat whatever I want. But 9 weeks in, you got to understand, my body has changed. This was my coffee from this morning. It's been about an hour. Don't make fun of my plastic cup, okay? I'm not fancy. But it's halfway done. When I first started this diet, I would drink that entire, and by the way, that's just coffee, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and 2 tablespoons of Kerrygold unsalted butter. And when I first started this diet, I would drink that, and I would be fucking hungry still. And I was also like a little sick drinking it, to be honest with you. It was a little disgusting. But now, and then like halfway through, I love this. I love this coffee, by the way. I love it so much. But halfway through, I would drink that, and then I would not be hungry until lunch. Now I drink this and I'm not fucking hungry sometimes. And that's kind of another one of those things where you're like afraid, much like you're afraid to eat bacon, you're afraid to not eat your 3 meals or your 5 small meals or whatever the fuck, you know, you've been told that you believe, because it makes sense. Much like, how traditionally eating fruit makes sense until you look at the level of sugar in fruits. So I've been doing a little bit of intermittent fasting, and in no way am I starving myself. All I mean by intermittent fasting is I just only eat when I'm hungry. If I'm not hungry, I don't eat. And so like 2 days ago, I didn't eat lunch. And then yesterday I didn't, or the day before that, I didn't really eat dinner. And then yesterday I ate like a weird, like what my daughter would call dinner, which is like lunch dinner. Um, and it's just, you listen to your body, and that's where the whole thing comes from. You can eat whatever you want. You can eat as however much you want. Assuming you're getting your macros right, you really can. I mean, especially a couple weeks in, first 2 weeks are rough, man. I'm not gonna lie. They're a little bit rough, and it's a little hard. You eat a lot of bacon because that's really all you can eat. But the longer you go in this, the more recipes you learn, and you get to a point where you really can kind of eat more of just eat when you're hungry, and that's what I do. I eat some nuts every now and then. I would caution people who are going to eat nuts. Nuts are one of those hidden carb foods, but you can eat some. Pistachios, I eat them. They're probably not the greatest to eat, but I like them a lot. Macadamia nuts are awesome. They're one of the fancy nuts, so they're a little more expensive, but they have lower carbs and high fat, so they're real good for the diet. But just pay attention to that. That's the main thing. Like, I mean, I know it makes common sense, but people, they get so many pitfalls in that area. Like, really pay attention to what you're eating, and you have to understand, your macros. Once you understand what you can eat, you can really eat anywhere you want. Like, that's the other thing, is people tell me I'm too busy. I can't eat out. I don't have time. I need to be able to get food on the go. I can't meal prep, things like that. And I don't meal prep personally. But then again, like, it's not really that hard to make a meal. But if you're like in a position where your job requires you to drive a lot and you can't do it, you can eat out. I wouldn't advise it. I think you're going to consume more calories than if you made your own food. But you can eat like Chipotle. I don't know if Chipotle is everywhere, but it's everywhere in here in California. It's on every corner. And Chipotle is great, man. You just don't eat rice and don't eat beans. Get your lettuce, get your chicken, do double chicken or carnitas. That'll give you more fat. Do double carnitas, do carnitas and chicken, whatever the fuck you want to do it. Put your cheese, put your sour cream, put your guacamole. Boom, done. It tastes awesome, and you'll stay in ketosis. I've eaten at Chipotle a few times. You can eat like any of your burger places, although I do caution again against like certain fast food places. Like I personally don't trust McDonald's. I mean, they I don't know, man. I'm not trying to knock McDonald's or anybody that likes them, but at those burger places, we know they don't do the most responsible stuff with their food. They put fillers in their meat, even though they claim now that they don't do that anymore. It's 100% beef. I don't trust that. So, but any of these like Five Guys and burger or whatever it's called, or any of these like, In and Outs, you can get your protein style. Like from Five Guys in a burger, I do the patty. It's two meat patties with bacon, cheese, and mayonnaise, and it's protein style, so it's in a lettuce wrap, and you can eat that. You'll stay in ketosis, but like I said, you will consume more calories than if you just had a meal at home. So just be mindful of that. But it is possible. It is possible to do it. The last thing I wanted to talk about is with this diet seemingly becoming more popular, you're going to start to see, like I said, more misinformation, more products coming out, more keto-friendly things. There's a few companies out there. Fat Fudge is one of them. I think the person who did is like Paleo Chef or something is her name on Instagram. I'm not affiliated with them, but I respect the fuck out of what she did, man, because she started from a small little like herself only. She was packaging the stuff herself, and I think that company's growing now. But this was a company that grew from and a passion for eating a ketogenic diet. It didn't grow as a company seeing, hey, there's a market here. Let's market some shit to keto people. This was somebody who was passionate about that lifestyle, about the paleo lifestyle, about the ketogenic lifestyle, and she started to develop products. So one of those products is Fat Fudge, fat spelled Phat, and then fudge spelled fudge. Um, there's responsible companies out there. So I don't want to knock any of those companies, but you're going to see more and more, especially if this does start to become very popular, like how, it's like South Beach diet and other diets. I'm hearing way more about ketogenic diet now than before when I started. And I only started 9 weeks ago. There was only a couple people I knew doing it. The only real notable person was Joe Rogan. But I knew a couple people, and mostly like they were into CrossFit and things like that, fighters. And I got interested in that. I even heard LeBron James is doing the ketogenic diet now, so it's going to become more popular. So you're going to get more misinformation, more products that are going to be geared as keto friendly, which I've talked about in the past. The shit that they put on a label means fucking nothing. They can really put whatever they want. Like they can put gluten free and it can be full of fucking gluten. They can put whatever they want. It doesn't really matter because none of that shit is regulated. You could put vegetarian friendly and your fucking main ingredient could be beef guts. Like it doesn't matter. It's not regulated. So just be very careful of that. And in saying that, I've been asked, I think somebody asked me on Instagram, and then somebody asked me in real life, two people asked me in real life about keto products. And I had never really heard of them when I started the ketogenic diet. I just did it through diet. But one of these brands is like Ketopia and the other is Ketocina. Supposedly they put your body in ketosis in 1 hour. I don't know how reliable that is. I personally think you can do it naturally. I don't knock supplements. I've taken supplements in the past, creatine, all sorts of things. So I use supplements, and I don't have anything against them. I'm not one of those people that say you have to do everything natural. I take multivitamins, even though you can get vitamins naturally. I don't think there's anything wrong with supplementing, but I don't know anything about these products. I don't know. The main thing is it takes about 2 weeks for your body to get deep into ketosis. It takes about a week. It took me 4 days, 3.5 days to get into ketosis, but it takes you really 2 weeks to get deep into it. It took me 2.5 weeks to defeat the keto flu. But by deep into it, I mean your body depletes its glucose stores. Like you'll notice, man, you'll notice you get a little smaller. Like I stayed strong, but my muscles became much like when you take creatine, you'll notice a boost, like that you inflate a little bit in your muscles. When you start the keto, you notice that your muscles get a little tighter. And that's because it's depleting the glucose stores. So the one question that I have about these products, and again, I don't know enough about them, maybe they explain it, but the one question I have about these products is, okay, they can put you into ketosis for an hour, but then what? Like, how long does that last? Because your body still has glucose stores. So at a certain point, that little fucking drink you drank is going to wear off. And then your body still has all the glucose stores. So it's going to choose to burn that. So I don't know how these products, explain that. I would really say if you're interested in that, you got to do more research. They tend to be a little expensive. I saw one that was like $200 for a month's supply. Some of these other ones, maybe one of the ones I mentioned was like $80, $90. If you feel like that's going to be the boost you need to really dedicate to the ketogenic lifestyle, and that's really what it is. I don't see it as a diet. I don't mind when people call it a diet, but when you get deeper into it, it becomes more of a lifestyle. I talked about that last week with the community, and it's awesome. So if you feel like that's going to help you, because I feel like this diet can help a lot of people, it truly can. So if you feel like taking one of those supplements is going to be your way of really committing to the diet, it may help you through the worst of the keto flu. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm interested. If somebody tries it out, let me know. I may one day try it, but not right now. I mean, I feel great. I really don't want to fuck with how I feel because I feel so goddamn good. But if you want to try it, try it. You know, just don't expect a miracle. Don't think you can still eat carbs. I can tell you that right now. I don't know anything about the products, but I can tell you there's no way you're going to be able to eat carbs and stay in ketosis. It's not going to happen. Like biologically, your body won't allow that to happen. So don't be fooled by that. But if you're going to eat, your macros right, and you want to take this just to help you through keto flu or to help push you into ketosis faster, go for it. At a certain point, when you're naturally in ketosis, I don't know what benefit these products have, but try it out. Let me know what you think. I'm very interested in it. So if anyone tries it, please let me know. Shoot me a message. Let me know. No spokespersons, please. But if you really tried it as a real human being who's not being paid by that company, it's interesting. I think a lot of people could benefit from knowing which products are good and which products are garbage. That was it for this week. I talked really fast, so apologize for that. I was just trying to get as much information out as possible and keep these as short as possible, but we still went 20 minutes, but I think we covered a lot of good information. So appreciate, you guys if you stuck with it. And like I said this many times, I just do this. I like to bring to light, my journey, and also I feel like this could really be beneficial. I don't want this to come off as me having all this knowledge or like that I'm some sorcerer with like all the answers. And because I've said it many times, I try in life to go through life having more questions than answers. I feel like that's how we grow as humans, and that's how we learn, and that's how we develop ourselves. So I don't want it to come off as me having all these answers. I do know some things because I've learned from other people or because I've researched. So any of those things that I know, I'm more than happy to share, but I don't want this to seem like I know everything, because I don't know much. I just try to ask the right questions in life, and that's how I try to live my life. So next week, I'm going to Vegas, actually. I'm going to be in Vegas for 5 days. So I'm going to challenge myself to try to keep eating this way. It's not even really a challenge, to be honest with you. That just sounds interesting to say that. I love eating this way. I thought about, and my wife had even said when we're in Vegas, are you going to eat? Because we go to certain places, and, like one of my favorite places in Vegas is the M buffet they have there is fucking awesome, man. But they seriously have this like mile-long fucking cart of just chocolates and cakes and shit from all over the fucking world. It's incredible. It's the most amazing fat boy shit you'll ever see in your life. But I don't think I'm going to eat any of that. Like, I can't tell you 100% I'm not, because since I've started this, I've never told myself I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. I just always say I want to see how I feel. I want to see where this road takes me. So I try not to think too far ahead. As of right now, I don't foresee it. I don't think I'm going to eat carbs. I don't think I'm going to eat sugars. I don't think I'm going to break ketosis. Not because I'm afraid to, but because I don't want to. I feel so good. Why would I want to? For a cake, like the idea of cakes and shit, it's not even like that great anymore. It just feels like it's going to make me sick. So I may eat a lot of fish and stuff, but I'll let you guys know. I'll be back before Thursday. So when we do this review next Thursday, I'll let you guys know how it went in Vegas. And I'm really going to put to test a lot of what I was saying with your ability to eat out. If you know your macros and you know what you can eat and can't eat, you should be able to eat out. I've never tried to do it this hard. I've only tried to do it at lunch or at dinner. And so it's not as difficult. I'm going to be doing it for 5 days. I'm going to be in a hotel and real fancy penthouse, you know how we roll. But in all seriousness, I've never tried to do it for 5 days. I am going to be in a hotel, so I'm going to be eating out for 5 days. I may stash some coconut oil and butter, but that's about it. So I'll let you guys know. I appreciate you listening. And like I said, if you have questions or concerns or comments or answers or a funny fact you want to share with me or a riddle, please drop a line. Let me know. I post on Instagram, like I've said last week. The Instagram right now is mostly has to do with the ketogenic diet, but I would like to get other things going that would interest more people than just those interested in this one part of what we're doing. So reach out to me there. I think it's RyanNGray, Ryan N Gray 86. That's the Instagram. Um, but other than that, have a beautiful weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Make sure you guys pay homage to those that served. Please don't forget what Memorial Day is really about. It's fun to go out. Maybe you're going to the lake. Maybe you're going to go drink some beer, barbecue, spend time with family. That's awesome. But please don't forget what the real meaning behind Memorial Day is, and give honor to those that served, not just those that died. I know what Memorial Day is, but just give honor to all those that served, and have a safe weekend. Stay happy. Stay beautiful. Love you guys. Goodbye.